Hi, and welcome to the 6th episode of the All Things Yarn podcast. My name is Victoria, and here I will be talking about all things yarn. I will be sharing with you some of my projects. I will be talking about some of the yarn that I have purchased, and I will also be sharing some of my goals for knitting 2022, and also like my goals for my stash in this podcast. So, if you're a new viewer, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. It's been only 3 weeks since the last time I filmed. Today is March 4th, so I'm getting better at this, she's like, what's going on? So I'm getting better at this, keeping up with, actually filming regularly. An issue that I had earlier, and I still have that issue. I don't really have the time to do this, but I love talking about my knitting, so I am prioritizing doing it. But there is so much stuff to do that earlier, between the times I had the opportunity to film, I would have knit so much that at one point I was trying to show everything I knit, but then there was so much to show that I wasn't able to show it all in one video, and I was like, what's the point? But I am back. I'm getting better at this, filming once every 2, 3, 4 weeks. So I'm just gonna jump right in. So I'm gonna start with sharing with you the finished objects since last time. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a person who likes weaving in ends. Weaving in ends and doing those final doing those final finishes and things are the worst thing ever. So I have a lot of finished items, but the ends are not woven in on any of them almost. Oops. So the first thing is something I actually knit way back when I first started this podcast. I knit this, I think it was a year and a half ago in the summer when I published the first episode of the podcast. But I never wove in the ends, or I wove in half of the ends, and then I was like, I'll deal with that another time. But I am trying for 2022 to not only knit out of my stash, but also finishing the things that I have. So this has been used because I had to put it on the second day it was done. The Netti sweater. It's just a simple chunky raglan sweater with these lace details on the sleeve. So I wove in the ends on this. That's an accomplishment. This is knit in Du Store Alpaca Pus, which is a really soft yarn. I wore this on uni the other day, and I was like, it doesn't feel like I'm wearing clothes. So I had to keep checking I am actually wearing clothes. This yarn is so soft. I just need to move some stuff so my dog can crawl over to the other side. So the only thing I don't like about this yarn is that it's look at the neck. It's getting so wide. I should have thought about this, and I guess I can still fix it, but I didn't think about it, and I could have put in an elastic in the neckline to help it stay closed, but still, this is a super duper nice sweater. It's knit on 8 and 9 millimeter needles, and this took me 2 days to knit, and then a year and a half to weave in the ends. So I'm super happy that this is done. Yay! And also for 2022, another goal is to knit more for myself and knit bigger things. And not only knit bigger things for myself, but also design bigger things. There's just something so nice about that. So this is done. Finally. Then I showed a cardigan in the last episode. You can see all my mess. I don't like seeing my mess on the phone. I showed a cardigan in the last episode I knitted a year and a half ago in the summer. or no, this was just last summer, so this was just like almost a year old. But I finished knitting it. I never like did the finishing details on the neckline and like sewn in the arms. So unlike, of course, with that like finishing things for 2022, it's really hard to show you guys. I actually finished it. Whoop! So that is super exciting. I sewn in the ends. I'm not sure I'm gonna show you it up close, but it's really dark, so you can't really see it. But this is just a cozy, oversized cardigan that is using a double moss stitch. Yeah, you can't see it. But it's super soft and super cozy, and I finished this. This is an Aran weight yarn called Viking Alpaca Breeze, I think, and on 7mm needles. So this was also one of those projects that was knit in a couple days and then just left into the cold. Never got finished, but this is finally finished, and I'm really happy about that. I'm not sure. She just keeps popping in. I am not sure if I showed in the last episode the finished bubble socks that I was working on like in January, but here they are. This is just a petrol kind of color with the bubbles. Super nice. And I actually finished both of the socks, so that's good. Yeah, and I wove in the ends on these as well, so I guess I'm not that hopeless as I was expecting to be this week. So yeah, this pattern is actually out now. It's called the bubble socks, and I showed them in the last episode as well, but they have an anatomical toe. The socks that I showed in the last episode, they were like an orangey, pinky kind of color, and I've been wearing those almost every day since the last I filmed. So yeah, they're super warm and super nice. These are knit on 4mm needles. I use DPNs for these, but you can obviously use magic loop or a small circular needle if you prefer that. Yeah, and because of the anatomical toe, they're like so nice to have in your shoes when you go outside. Because I live in northern Norway, it's still freezing here. So I finally learned to like start using my hand knit socks. And yeah, so I haven't been freezing on my feet for the last 2 weeks. So that's been great. There was one more thing I was supposed to say about those socks, but I can't remember, unfortunately. And then I finished another pair of socks. I don't remember if I had even started these the last time I podcasted. I think I had. But these are the Aurora Socks. They are woven in the ends, and it's a pair. These are a size, also the other bubble socks I showed you are a size EU 41 or 40-41, which is my size. And yeah, both have the anatomical toe, just because that's something I love lately, is knitting the anatomical toe, like you have a left and a right foot. And these are also knit in that same yarn, the Sun Is Gone Perfect, on 4mm needles. This pattern is currently out in testing right now, and I'm hoping to have it out within a couple of weeks. Now, I have always like enjoyed knitting small projects, but like lately, like socks are just such a perfect project for me to have in my backpack when I go to uni, because you know you're gonna have like 20 minutes here or 20 minutes there, or you're gonna have a lecture where, like we had the other day, the teacher was just like, oh, you know, we have 2 hours here, but there's only 1.5 PowerPoint slide that's actually relevant. And she was like, just sit back and relax, don't worry, I'll even tell you when this 1.5 PowerPoint slide comes up. So like for those cases, and also when you're watching lecture and you just need something to do, socks is such a great project to have in your bag. And now that I've actually started using my hand knit socks and like actually writing out the patterns like in a proper way, not just writing them up for myself, yeah, I think it's just great. And one thing I really like about both of these socks, I don't know if I talked about it in a previous episode, but an issue that I've been having with my socks is that they are too, you knit in the round. So if you do stockinette, you're obviously going to have the same amount of rounds on the underside as on the top of the foot. But for me, I always had an issue where there was too much lengthwise fabric just in this area. Like it would just bunch up over here. It would just bunch up. So with this pattern and with the bubble pattern, I don't have that issue because the texture pattern of this is actually like pulling the fabric together like this. And since I only have the texture on top, the top is slightly shorter than the sole. So that is great. And also this texture is like super nice. It just holds shape and holds the sock so close to your foot. So I've been loving these. And then one more big project. I know I showed this in the last episode, or I'm pretty sure I showed this in the last episode. I don't know. Is a sweater that I knit for myself. Oh, there looks like there is a skein that does not look like the rest of the sweater. Oh crap. All of the skeins had the same dye lot, but you can very, very clearly see it. There is one skein that is in a different color. Can you see what it's more? I didn't notice that until I put it up on the camera like this now. I don't think I can see it when it's like this, but yeah. So anyway, and this is just a super simple raglan sweater for myself with some really deep stash yarn that I have. The point of knitting this sweater was like teaching myself how to do like decreasing for the neckline. So yeah, I just have to weave in the ends and seam down the neckline on this. But then I also realized, now I can actually see the color difference when I'm looking at it. Yeah, okay, so but the thing with this one is that there is not I realized once I was done with this that it's too short for me, and it's knit bottom up. So yeah, I'm sorry, I just get really unfocused because of like that stripe of a different color. Like it just doesn't look, and then it looks like the skein below that is even darker than the rest of this. So maybe it's the skein below that's the this is really depressing, but I'm not taking this out. But what I realized was that the sweater is not long enough for me. And that is extremely odd because this is the exact same length, the exact same width as another sweater that I have that I love the length of. It's the same thickness of the sweater, like they're both made on DK with DK yarn on 4mm needles. I don't know what's going on, but that is very, very odd. But yeah, super simple raglan sweater for myself. Yeah, okay, super simple raglan sweater for myself. I'm just gonna pretend that there is not a different dye lot in there. Yeah, so that is that. I hope that by showing you this and telling you that I'm just gonna hold it this way so I don't see the different dialogues. But I'm hoping by showing you guys this that I'm actually gonna like cut the bottom half, or like before the ribbing, that I'm gonna just cut it. I'm obviously gonna insert my needles first, then I'm gonna cut it off and knit the sweater slightly longer. So if that is a tutorial you want to see, let me know, and I can probably do a tutorial on doing that on a sweater. Because this is a lot of work, and like ripping it out would be not good. That would be very sad. So yeah, that is that. And then the next thing I have to show you are, I think I showed you this one the last episode. This is a gray, my favorite cowl. I showed you this the last time, but now this has a new sibling. I knit another one in this blue yarn. So this is the My Favorite Cowl, knit in Drops Wish on 10mm needles. So it's super duper fast. You can also use Aran weight yarn held double, for example Drops Air if you have that. So this is just super duper nice, and it's such a quick project. The pattern for this is out for testing, and today is March 4th. This will be released on March 5th or 6th. So it's gonna be released tomorrow or the day after. So look out for this one if you want a really quick and easy stash busting project. Now, I didn't really do much progress on this, but I just thought that I would show it again to keep myself accountable, because if I don't show it, it's really easy that this becomes one of those projects that are like so close to being done within a week, and then just gets put in a box or in the closet for years without actually finishing it. But this is the Aurora cardigan. Super nice. I'm saying super nice a lot, but this is also knit in the same yarn that the other cardigan was knit in, which is Viking Alpaca Bris, a super soft blowy yarn from deep in my stash, because the goal for 2022 is use the lovely yarn that I have in my stash. There are two reasons why I haven't worked on this. I also have knit both of the sleeves done. I just didn't bring them because I showed you them the last time and they look exactly the same. There are two reasons why I haven't worked on this since the last time. And reason number one is I'm at a point where I have to do, because this is a new design, I have to do a little bit of thinking, and whenever I get to those points in a project, they usually stop. So yeah, that is issue number one. And then issue number two is, or there's like three issues. It's such a big project that is not something anymore that I'm bringing with me to uni. I did bring, like, when I was knitting the sleeves, I could bring one sleeve to uni and work on one sleeve. And then as I was on the start of the like actual like body part of the cardigan, I could bring that to uni, but it's just too big now to be doing that with. And then the second issue is when I worked on that, even for like 5 minutes, or even like showing you right now, I look like a sheep. And that yarn is fraying so bad that, let me just say, if it frays that much after the project is done, I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. That's really sad. But I know there are things you can do to make it fray less. Like you can throw it in the freezer and then like shake it really good so that the hairs fall off, because they're frozen and then they like break when you shake it. So that is one thing that I'm gonna try, and I think like that is also a perfect project to like try that on to see if it actually works. I don't have that issue on the dark gray one, even though they're the exact same yarn. The dark gray one is not fraying at all. This light gray one is fraying like crazy. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna solve that, but yeah, we will see. All I can really think about now is how much it's bugging me that it looks like the colors, like there's a different dialogue. I still have all of them, you know, the things that go around the skein, like these ones. I still have all of those, so I can go back and like actually check to make sure that it's the same color, but I'm like 99.99% sure they're the same color. I checked the dyelet when I got the yarn, and I checked the dyelet before I started knitting it. And I'm like, it should all be the same. But it's not. So I still have, like, these are like so close to being finished. I actually only have a couple of like active works in progress. Is that gray one that I showed, and then I have this one. So I have a basket on the floor here. I'm not going to show it in this episode, but it's a basket that every month I go into my stash and I take something that's deep in my stash, pull the yarn out, put it in that basket, and then the goal is for that month to knit with that yarn. So for January, the yarn that I put into that basket was the gray yarn, that like this yarn, because this is really deep in my stash, and also this yarn. So that is what I pulled out of my stash to work on for January. And then for February, I had a lot of DK weight merino yarn from Drops, or I didn't have a lot. I had I think I had 9 skeins. And 9 skeins is not enough for a sweater for myself. But I really wanted to make myself something in this yarn, because this is like my exact colors. And then I was thinking I want to do the Boneyard shawl by Stephen West. So I pulled out the yarn, put it in my basket, and then I was like literally an hour away from casting on the Boneyard shawl. And then someone who's seen one of my patterns sends me a message, and it's like, hey, so I really like this. I can knit, but I don't knit nice. Like, oh, my knitting doesn't look nice. Can you please make this sweater for me? I'll of course pay you in a burgundy merino. And I was like, a burgundy merino? I just put it out of my stash to knit with it. So even though the Boneyard shawl looks great and would have been a great project, I don't think I would have used it. So I'm really happy that someone ordered the bubble sweater. This is the bubble sweater in a size 5 to 6 years, and this is done, and I just need to move hands. But this is sold, and it's on its way to its new owner very, very soon. So you can see the bubbles, they're so nice. I love this color, and just knitting with this color, looking at this color, touching this yarn, it just brings me so much joy. So when they ordered my favorite color and my favorite pattern in my favorite yarn, what else could I ask for? And they were paying me to knit this out of my stash. So yeah, this is size 5 to 6 years. It looks so tiny, but it's not. It's size 5 to 6 years. So that is almost done. And then I had 5 skeins they wanted 2 sweaters, one in 5 to 6 years and one in 1 to 2 years. The one in 1 to 2 years, they wanted in like a rose pink. And I had 5 skeins of that. And no, I always check. They look to be the exact same, but I always check the dialogues before I start knitting. And then as I was about to cast it on, I realized that this is 3 skeins of one dialog and 2 skeins of the other dialog. And I need 4 skeins to make this sweater. So I had to order a new yarn. So I ordered 4 skeins. Can you believe it? I actually only ordered 4 skeins plus 1 skein because I needed to buy 5 skeins of yarn to get free shipping. So I ordered some more to make another. Like the colors are shit in this slide. I'm sorry about that, but so I cast on another bubble sweater, and this is also close to being done. This is size 1 to 2 years, and I'm on the ribbing at the bottom right now, and then I just need to knit the sleeves. I'm hoping to have this done by like the end of this weekend, but we will see. And I am knitting this on 3.5 and 4mm needles. She's just so cute. And I'm using, oh, there's the camera. I'm using my donut stitch marker for this one. Yeah, my donut stitch marker is like just like one of my favorite. I used it for every project lately, so I'm really happy about that. You can find the pattern for the bubble sweater in my Etsy and Ravelry, and you can purchase these stitch markers that I have and a lot more from me through my Instagram. So just shoot me a message on Instagram if you want one of those. I haven't yet put them up on Etsy because I'm having, like, Etsy, when you're shipping internationally, Etsy is asking you for a, they call it a tariff number for the goods. And so I want to sell my heart mittens that I'm knitting, and also stitch markers and poms on Etsy. For the heart mittens, I think that I found the right tariff code, but for the stitch markers, I just have not found the right code. I'm not even sure what to search for. So if you are selling something like stitch markers on Etsy and you know what code I need for selling those, that would be great. I'm trying to figure out the code, but I just can't find any code that looks to be the right one for selling stitch markers and also poms. So if you have the code I need, please let me know. Hey, she's like, come down. She's like, oh, why aren't you done filming? I want to cuddle. And she also likes to lick my hands. That's really weird, but that's my dog. So, and also for February, along with that burgundy yarn, I also pulled some other yarns from deep out of my stash. This yarn I actually got for myself 4 years ago, I think, to knit myself a sweater. But the yarn was just like in the back of my closet, and then when I was designing the pumpkin pattern, I just went into there and took from this yarn. So now when I was gonna knit a sweater, it was not gonna be enough for a sweater for myself. I think I was missing like 4 skeins. So then I was like, well, my mom is slightly smaller, so I'll just knit her a sweater instead. And so I knit her. This is also like so close to being done. I knit her the zipper sweater by Petite Knit. This is looking very, very bright orange in the photo, but it's actually like more of a burnt orange. This is knit in Drops Nepal on, I'm using 4.5 and 5.5 millimeter needles because I knit quite tight. But yeah, this is more of like a burnt orange in real life, but it looks super bright in the photo. But yeah, so that is that. I was home last week. I went home on Wednesday evening, and then I went back here on Sunday afternoon. And when I got to my parents, I was like, just messing around. Haha, you think I can finish this sweater before I go home? And I was like, no. But then I actually finished this before I went home. Now, obviously, I still need to weave in the ends and put in the zipper, but the knitting portion is done. Pretty much. Just need to knit like the bands on the inside here, and then it's done. So, yeah, it's done. And this worked out perfectly. I think I had, I'm gonna have to count this later, but I either had 11 or 12 skeins plus a scrap of this color, and I have used exactly those 11 or 12 skeins on this. I have the scrap still in my stash, but the scrap is going to be used for knitting like the thing for like closing the zipper with. So I'm gonna have used like all of this yarn out of my stash, and that just feels great. And having used it in something that I actually think is gonna get used. So that is great. My mom thinks we measured on some of her other sweaters because she was not supposed to know this was for her. So my dad measured on one of her other sweaters, and that was 60 centimeters. And she really likes the length on that. This is 60 centimeters. She thinks this is like slightly short for her, but I think once she starts wearing it, it's gonna feel a lot better. So that's that. Then I'm so close being done. And then I knit, because we are back to school with our lectures. So then I knit another pair of the Aurora Socks in the same yarn, the same stitch count. No, the same yarn, the same needle size, EU 41 for myself. Yeah. So yeah. As you can see, I really don't like finishing these. These are actually knit on DP ends, and then as I was like getting ready to do the mattress stitch and weaving in the ends, I was like, I'll just put them on the circular needle and deal with that later. So my goal for the weekend is to finish these, weaving the ends on the bubble sweater, finish knitting that bubble sweater, like the 1 to 2 year old size that is lying in that pile. That is my goal for the weekend. That's not gonna happen because I have so much schoolwork that I need to do today that I should be doing right now, but this was the only time I had in the last week or in the coming week to actually sit down and film. So I just had to do that now. So I'll have to study later tonight. And yeah, so, but I'm gonna do my best. And then tomorrow I'm going for tapas at one of my friends' place. I think we're gonna gather 10 people-ish. And we're just eating tapas and talking, and us girls are probably gonna bring knitting. We talked about that. Yeah, so I will probably be bringing that children's sweater that is not done for that. So that is that. And I'm gonna finish this. I need to finish those because I want to start wearing them. Then I have also from deep into my stash, because I was getting tired of knitting socks. So I cast on, and I had finished those green pair, and I just needed something for a lecture the day after, because I knew the lecture the day after would be I would need something to be able to sit still in those lectures. So I pulled out 3 skeins of Viking wool, which is a cotton yarn from my stash, and I knit this kitchen towel. So on point with me hating to finish items. What? She's attacking my yarn. On point with me hating finishing items, I just need to make a buttonhole and knit 4 more rounds, and then this one is done. And weave in the ends obviously, and sew on the button. So this is 150 grams of Viking wool, which is an Aran weight cotton yarn from my stash. That's gonna be a kitchen towel for my kitchen. So that is great. And then the final thing that I have to show you guys is I cast on another pair of socks because I just need this in my backpack to always have knitting with me in case I need knitting. So these are another of the Aurora socks for myself. I love them. They're great. Yeah, so that's that. There isn't really anything else to say about it. I really love them. These socks, I really like this yarn. I really like knitting small projects, having them in my backpack. So yeah, that is that. That is actually all I have to show you guys today. I did also purchase, before the last episode, I purchased a lot of yarn. But that yarn, I'm thinking I want to do a yarn haul. Actually sitting down and just showing the yarn and talking about the yarn. So I'm going to do that. I'm actually thinking I'm going to film it right now because I have the light and I have the time. I have the yarn next to me. So if you want to check that out, that will probably be out a couple of days after this video. Meow meow. Sometimes I wonder if my dog, come. Yeah, come. Sometimes I wonder if my dog knows she's a dog and not a cat. Look, she's so pretty. Yeah. Now she's like, why are you picking me up and talking? Yeah. And so, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, one more thing. I'm also planning to be filming a video on like Stash Busters 2022. So if you want to check that out, check that out. I'm planning to film January and February later today, like an update for those 2 months. So I also encourage you to just join me for that. The Stash Busters 2022 is not necessarily about downsizing your stash for me, but it's about loving your stash more. For me, I have a lot of single skates. I have a lot of scraps. Like here, this is 4 different scraps of the same color that it's stressing me out having these many scraps. So for me, Stash Busters 2022 is about being more happy and content with my stash. For me to be more happy and content with my stash, I need to A, use up as much as I can of my scrap yarn, and also B, I have moved like on from a lot of the yarn that I have. I'm not liking that type of yarn anymore. So my plan is to just like work through my yarn with like quick and easy projects, because it's still good yarn. And also like the yarn for that orange sweater, that is yarn that is in my stash that I know I love and I want to use, but I'm just like so focused on the new and shiny things. So I like actually just need to take it out and put it like in that basket so that I can see it, and then I will actually use it. So that is that. And also I'm also like I'm also like trying to not buy that much yarn. I'm trying to only buy what I know I have a plan for, but then I'm trying to buy more of the yarn that I'm into right now, which is not necessarily the same yarn I was into a couple of years ago when I was buying my stash. So yeah, that is that. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was a shorter episode than normal, so I hope you enjoy. I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks. She's just like demolishing everything. She's so tiny. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. And I'm gonna have to show you what she... So while I was filming right now, my dog, this blanket was folded when I started filming. And those 2 beanies were like in here on that. And she's like, no, I don't want that to be there. That is my spot. So yeah, I'm gonna send those out today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. And now I gotta clean up this mess. Yay!